Hey friends, so I just wanted to share some things that I've been working on, some little exciting news and updates. For the last few years, I've been building this model of reality, and I call it the simulator theory. And it's similar to simulation theory, but there's some distinct differences for sure. It's completely different, let's just say that, but there are some overlap. And a couple significant puzzle pieces have come together over the last few weeks or so that I've been needing to kind of make it a complete theory of everything. And I'm very excited about it because, my theory of everything is less about physics and mathematical equations and more about philosophy and, why are we here? Who are we? What's the point of all this? That's what I go into. And I now have this well-rounded, this theory is fun. It's inspiring and it's all encompassing. But there was a couple pieces that were eluding me that I had to put together, and through lots of listening and thinking and meditating and reading and listening and thinking and meditating and reading, I kind of had some aha moments and epiphanies that sort of brought it all together. So I wanted to discuss a couple of those things with you today and get your thoughts on it because I think they're exciting. So in my theory, my simulator theory, one of the main differences between it and just simulation theory is that, like any good simulator, you're in it to learn. And as you learn, so say you're a pilot, right? This is the easiest example to use because everyone knows what a flight simulator is. So say you're a human pilot, you go into that flight simulator. So in the flight simulator, you're now a virtual pilot in a virtual plane. But as your virtual pilot in that virtual plane is experiencing turbulence and what it's like to land with only one engine and what it's like to fly through storms and that kind of stuff, your human mind is powering up and leveling up and growing and evolving, right? You're getting all that information from that virtual experience, and it's making you bigger, better, stronger on the other side, okay? So you can see how a virtual simulator still has huge ramifications for the real, quote unquote, real being on the other side. See what I mean? So it's not just a game. You're doing it, it's real, even though it's virtual and you're not gonna die if the plane crashes or anything because it's all virtual. You're taking it very, very seriously because you know that you're going to fly a real plane and this is your real practice, and you're treating it like it's life and death. You see pilots in those flight simulators and they're sweating. They're white knuckles. They're very, very into it, okay? And on the other side, their real human avatar is getting all this valuable experience and knowledge and life points out of it, okay? Now, our simulator that we're in, this world, is very, very similar. So as we learn and grow and evolve here, as my little avatar does here, outside, my higher self, my real me, what Robert Monroe calls I there, they're learning, growing, and evolving as well. Okay, now let's take this a step further. So I've come to the conclusion that our spirit world, where our I there is, where our higher self, our guides, where everything exists after you die, you go to the spirit world and you reconvene with all your peeps and all that stuff, that is just another layer of the simulator, okay? It's kind of like the loading area, right, of the simulator. So your self there, your consciousness there, your little soul cluster there is tied to this one directly, just the same way that a pilot's tied to his little virtual pilot in the flight simulator, right? So as we learn, grow, and evolve here, our higher self does the same. Now here's where it gets interesting. So we come in here to learn, grow, and evolve, but what happens when we awaken? Okay, so in Hinduism, they call it enlightenment. Basically, when you realize, when you understand what Maya is, Maya to them is the illusion that this world that we're in is basically a dream, is how they interpret it. That once you awaken to the idea that this is a dream, that what we would now call in our modern day parlance like a virtual reality or a simulation, once you understand that and you awaken, you're enlightened, right? Well, once we're enlightened over here and we're awakened over here, that sends ripples and has ramifications for our soul cluster on the other side. So since the other side, the spirit world, let's just say that, the loading area, since it's part of the simulator as well, so when we awaken here, our higher self and our soul cluster and our whole consciousness awakens over there too. See what I'm saying? They're intrinsically linked. Now, this is pretty exciting when you think about it, because people always talk about, how do you escape the matrix? And I don't want to have any more reincarnations and I want to get out of here and all this kind of stuff. Well, once you pass in this physical life and you go up to the spirit world, well, you're under the same belief systems and understanding and limitations and everything as you are here on Earth. So if you don't understand this, if you don't understand that this is a simulator and the spirit world is another layer of the simulator, then how would you ever leave? Because you think you've already left. You've left Earth. You're in the spirit world. You did it. You escaped. But you're still just one layer. It's just another layer of the simulator. See what I'm saying? So to actually be able to graduate from the entire Earth life system and move on to other levels of the universe, you have to understand that. You have to awaken here on Earth, and then you have to awaken in the spirit world, and then you understand the construct that you're in, and you can keep going through the levels. But if you don't understand that, if you don't know and at least think that there's levels above you, even in the spirit world, then you would never try to go anywhere. You'd be like, I did it, I'm here, I escaped, right? But you didn't escape. You're just another layer. Okay, so knowing all that, how does it work? How do you awaken? Well, if you think about it, when you come into this Earth life experience, you basically have like normal duties, right? You're like, okay, you just raise a family, have a job, learn, fix your karma, that kind of stuff, be a good person. That's all great. That's one of the main reasons we come here. But then embedded inside this simulator are all of these codes, all these Easter eggs, all these little hints and clues that unlock things, just like any good game would have. Okay, like in any game, like say Super Mario Brothers, you can just breeze through and just run through and get to the end and grab the flag and slide down the pole and you're like, I did it. Or you can choose to look for invisible blocks. You can jump on top of that invisible block and go into a tube, into a whole other world, right? There's all these mini games and all of these things that you can do if you choose. You don't have to, but you can, okay? Earth is the same way. I'm starting to understand that this is more of what I would call an escape room, that there are hidden artifacts and hidden clues and stuff everywhere. And when you uncover these clues, and then you start to assemble this clue with this clue, and you put things together, it unlocks more clues and bigger clues. So what are we working towards? What is this side game? What is this bonus game do? Here's my conclusion. Here's my current understanding. Let's say that as you start to unlock these things, it has to do with sound. We're unlocking these sacred geometric things that when you put them together, there's something called sonic geometry. Eric Rankin, it's amazing. Eric Rankin. And I learned this when I went out and studied with him at the Integratron. And he was teaching us all about sonic geometry and how geometry has sound, okay? Well, what I've taken that a step further. So we have like 90% of our DNA is called junk DNA, dormant DNA. And then something like 90% of the universe is dark energy and dark matter. I really think that we're trying to activate our dormant DNA, which then enlightens all of this dark energy and matter and activates us at a physical level, activates physical abilities we didn't have before, but also activates almost like this spiritual activation, I guess you would call it, like a Kundalini type thing, right? And you become a fully activated human, but then you're spiritually activated as well, because it's all one thing. And that when we're going through life and we're going through the world, we're finding all these Easter eggs and all these secrets and clues, we're putting them together and we're activating things within us that it's kind of turning us on. It's like running through a house, flipping all the light switches and turning them on, and we're activating ourselves. So the escape room theory is not we're escaping physically from Earth, like we're gonna hop into a spaceship and fly away. You're escaping the limitations, essentially, of being deactivated. You know what I mean? And once we activate ourselves, then it activates our whole existence. Our higher self, our guides, everything that's associated with our soul cluster gets activated as well. And that I really think that that's kind of the side game here on Earth is go through life, be a good person, have a job, a family and friends, and do good and all that kind of stuff. But then also be curious and be observant and look around for clues and that kind of stuff and start putting things together, because there's another game layered on top of the game. And that is why we're actually here, because we're here to activate ourselves inside the simulator, therefore activating ourselves outside the simulator. And I think that's when you actually can graduate out of the entire Earth life system and go on to whatever else is out there. I haven't got that far. That's the next book, I guess. Anyways, thank you for allowing me to just blah that out, because I'm still working through a few things before I start working on my book. But be looking for some announcements for my next book coming up. I'm super excited. I'm almost there. I'm ready to put this out. I think it's going to be a big deal. Anywho, let me know what you guys think. Have a beautiful day.